Yo guys, it's Mez and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Daredevil Born Again episode 7. If you've not seen the episode and the previous episodes, please watch that before watching this video. I'm going into spoiler territory guys, you have been warned. If you've not seen my other Daredevil Born Again videos, I'll leave a link in the description down below. It'll contain all the playlist of all the Daredevil videos I have made. I'm going to be talking about my top moments from episode 7, so here we go. In episode 7, we deal with the ramifications of Daredevil's return. Kingpin actually learns about Daredevil's return. In episode 1, where Wilson and Matt had the conversation in the diner, well basically he said that if Daredevil came back, he would know and he would take matters into his own hands.
I'm going to be mayor of this town. And when I am, I will not tolerate people running around in silly costumes.
In my personal opinion, Wilson feels more glad that he's back now because Wilson can now go and return to his old Kingpin ways. Feels like he more has an excuse now. See Matt just after the fight with Muse and he's really trying to contemplate what just happened. Amidst doing so, we get that little intimate moment with Matt and Heather. Heather knows something is up because he notices Matt's bruise in the shower and then starts to question him further. Basically thinks that he is self-harming himself, you know, as a psychiatrist would do.
You can get those bruises at work.
Matt is clearly lying to her to protect his secret, but says that he hasn't really moved on from his old life, which I think is a complete lie. He then sort of comes to terms with himself and realizes that the life he's living now is fake. Turn of Daredevil has really provided him some clarity on what he has to do now, and he sort of just comes to terms that what he's doing just is not working anymore. Harry, Matt's private investigator, realizes that Daredevil is back. He tells him that, look, the police is not going to get it done. I had to come back to stop this killer. He's basically killed 60 people. He was the only person who could have saved Angela at that point in time. Sort of clash we get in this episode. Wilson wants to believe that he's back, but at the same time he doesn't want to believe. It's like a clash of do or don't. Then see a moment where Wilson is talking to his secretary Buck. He basically tells him what Daredevil has done to him previously, destroyed everything he built, and because of his righteousness. The irony is real guys. He found something at the scene of the crimes related to Muse. This becomes important in the episode. I speak to Matt at the hospital post-incident with Muse. Matt basically questioned if she remembered anything about the incident. She basically told him that Daredevil saved her. She remembered something specifically, that Muse makes sketches of the people's faces, so basically the victims that he killed. This was also a very important part of this episode. I'll talk more about her at the end of my video. In this part she's talking to the mob Luca, and Luca basically just wants to get rid of Wilson. He tries to appeal to Vanessa, but deep down this is really what he wants. Do you guys remember when I gave my prediction on who Muse is? Well, I was right about that. The guy in the book signing is Muse, and his name is Bastian Cooper. Finally get that therapy session that they teased us in episode 2. In this therapy session we really start to understand who Bastian is, what his background is. It's explained how Muse was somehow able to fight Daredevil in the counter in episode 6. Basically learned Taekwondo as a kid from his coach. Really liked that they showed two scenes simultaneously. One was the therapy session and two was the police unveiling the truth to Wilson. Events lead to the obvious conclusion about Bastian's true identity. And again, this two scenes simultaneously seems to be a common theme in the show, and I am all for it. As time passes, we really get to see the real Bastian. He's a sick, twisted, maniacal son of a bitch. To explain why he's twisted, there was a moment in the episode where his nose bled. Instead of wiping it off with a tissue that was handed to him, he literally drew his mask on a notepad. And that's the moment Heather realized that he is Muse and unfortunately got captured. Still a moment with Kirsten, who's the lawyer that works with Matt. She's basically suspicious that both Matt and Cherry are hiding something due to their private conversations that they have. She feels that she's being left out and she's not happy about it. Just forward the events, we get a moment when Daredevil investigates the paintings that Angela mentioned and recognizes that some of the victims of the paintings actually turned out to be the victims that he killed. He was investigating, he recognized one particular painting, and that particular painting turned out to be none other than Heather. He was able to feel the painting. Bearing in mind, Daredevil has heightened senses, so his sense of touch is pretty good. We get a really funny moment. Unfortunately, Daredevil got spotted by one of the officers that works in Fisk's anti-vigilante task force. That was not ideal as he would report back to Wilson about him spotting Daredevil, but it was a pretty funny moment because this officer continues to take L's. We go back to the events of Muse, and instead of Bastian Cooper himself, we now have Muse in its entirety. Heather tries to appeal to Bastian, but clearly states that he is Muse, and he starts doing twisted Muse stuff, cuts her arm open and starts drawing up blood. He prepares to do his art piece, so he lays his canvas on the floor so he can start, like a weird ritual. Unfortunately, he heard the cops and started to escalate the speed of his twisted painting. Heather tries to retaliate and Muse pins her down and starts to choke her. And then enters Daredevil. He smashes through the window and cue epic fight scene. Another ironic moment that I spotted is that when Daredevil stopped Muse from stabbing Heather with the knife during the fight, when he basically extended his clubs and like pierced through his skin, he like drags Muse on the canvas, so we get to see Muse's blood being painted rather than Heather's. It's probably the most controversial thing that happened in this episode. So again, if you've not seen the episode, I'm going into big spoilers. So I continued and favoured Daredevil. We get a very shocking moment. Heather manages to barely recover. During the fight, she drew the gun and shot Muse 3 times. When I was actually really perplexed, I was like, wow, did that actually just happen? I took this moment in multiple ways. On one hand, I was like, damn, that was clutch. But on the other hand, I was like, really, did that just happen? It was a little anticlimactic that she got the final blow. I will talk about more of this later in the video, so please stay tuned for that. Eventually, Fisk's anti-vigilante task force reaches the room and sees Muse's body on his own canvas. The juxtaposition is so real. Mayor Fisk's arrive at the scene and once is forced to take the credit as he cannot allow Daredevil to become a bigger symbol to the public than himself. Is now in the hospital and remembers Daredevil saved her and that she heard Daredevil say her name. This was an interesting moment as it will be something I'll be referencing later on in the video. The final twist in the episode surprised me, as Vanessa was texting Luca the address of where Wilson did his late night eating. First I was like, wait, is she actually gonna betray him? But then I sort of second guessed myself and I was like, maybe she's just trying to get rid of Luca, and yeah, it's a good thing I second guessed myself. That was all the top moments that happened in the episode. I'm now going to move on to my thoughts and predictions to the rest of the season. We only have 2 episodes left and we've now got a lot of story to cover. I think the number one thing is Muse actually dead? I feel that he was killed off very abruptly and we didn't really get much of a chance to explore his character in great detail. The second thing is Bullseye's most likely going to make a return as we see him in the mid-season trailer, but how actually big of an impact is he going to have on both Daredevil and Wilson Fisk, as he was an integral part of season 3 of the original show. Also still haven't found out who killed White Tiger in episode 4. Which cop was it? Was it actually the Punisher? I find that very hard to believe, but I think it's one of the dirty cops that's in Fisk's anti-vigilante task force. Will Heather find out about Matt being Daredevil? I think this is a strong possibility that she will find out and that she will have to make a really tough decision. When will Punisher return? Will he return in episode 8 or episode 9? I'm actually really excited for these episodes, as watching multiple interviews from the cast saying that these episodes are their favourite. I'm pretty sure they had a lot of creative ideas behind that. Are we going to have no Karen at all this season? I'm actually very surprised that Karen wasn't really introduced in this season. I hope she makes her entrance later on in the season, at least one, because we really got to see some nostalgia. We see Angela return as the White Tiger at the end of the season. So I think this is the strongest sort of theory that I have, and it's a theory that Vanessa seems to be the mastermind behind everything, and I believe this is hinting more and more towards chapter 468 of what I mentioned in my previous videos. Chapter 468 is very integral as it shows that Foggy faked his own death and Vanessa Fisk was a part of it. This is really showing in these episodes, and I'm really excited to see what this brings. Will we see Foggy coming back at the end of the season? What will happen? I am very excited. That's all for the video today, guys. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please like the video, subscribe, tap the bell, and I'll see you guys for the next episode. Take care.